What's that dreadful noise?
I meant to be in there.
Side to side basic. Cecile, you're missing my class. Come in, darling. Forward and back. Nice hips. Move those hips. Side to side now. Shake it, ladies. Shake it.
This is not a retirement home. This is a madhouse.
Congratulations, by the way, about your Kennedy Center honor.
Thank you.
But in that commendation that the Kennedy Center says, they use a word that I don't usually see when they're saying it. They talked about your wide range, your versatility, and then they say iconoclastic. Now, if I look up iconoclastic, I see defiant, up against what's an established form of things.
Is that what it says?
It's iconoclastic, that's the definition.
I like that.
Yeah. So you do like it?
Yes.
So you
yes.
say, yes, okay, I am that.
Yes. The first thing that comes to mind when you say that is casting is maybe the most artificial thing that exists in acting. If you're a singer or a dancer, you audition and you sing something or you dance something, and people who are hiring saying yes or no. But how do you audition as an actor for a part that you haven't found yet? You know, the better you are, the less of a good reading you give. Bob Duvall, who I used to live with, used to say is the guys that
it wasn't sexual though.
No.
It was just you and Bob Duvall as roommates.
Well, I mean, we slept together.
I just wanted to be clear.
Well, I mean, look, I was the pitcher, he was the catcher.
It is. I don't even want to bring Gene Hackman into it now, because it could have been a three-way going on there.
Yes, and there was.
I'm distracting you, but now we'll be on YouTube.
Yes.
Yeah.
I'll get sued by those guys. No, they don't sue. They just punch you out. Duvall, we never got any parts. I worked waiting tables for over 10 years. Duvall worked the post office midnight to 8. We were roommates. Hackman moved furniture, walk-ups, 6 floors, putting refrigerators on his back. We all did the same thing for 10 years, and we all auditioned and never got past the first audition, didn't even get a call back. And Duvall said, the ones that get the part, he called them, what you see is what you get. In other words, whatever they did in the audition is basically what they did 4 weeks later in the play. There's no finding a character, and it's very hard to get a part when you're reading and you don't, you're just meeting the character in a sense. So that was something that kept us back, but also kept us on a line of, we were. This is 1958, 59, 60, 61. This is the Beat generation. We were in a culture of artistry, and there was certainly a conceit and an arrogance attached to that. But being hired was kind of selling out.
Yeah, that was a shame. We just want to do this in our apartment.
Yes,
right?
Yes. I mean, because you were being pure. You were being a pure artist, and be true to ourselves.
I'm so sad for all three of you that you had such success.
It's a bummer.
It really is.
I think the best thing I ever said was, after the graduate, they said, "What does it feel like?" I says, "I feel like I plummeted to success."
That Graduate miss, but the Graduate is good because it brings back iconoclastic. Yeah. You could have done Benjamin Braddock then for another 10 years. You could have just done it. Instead, you then do Ratso. Nothing. No longer the romantic image of confused youth.
Midnight Cowboy comes along. It's a supporting part. Mike Nichols, in fact, called me up, who made me a star in The Graduate. And he says, "Are you crazy?" He says, "I made you a star." He says, "This is an ugly character." He says, supporting part to John Voight. He says, what are you doing? Why are you sabotaging? But I love the fact that I was trying to remain a character actor, and that was my desire.
Tootsie now, one of the great classic comedies, the story behind it is always how difficult it was.
Yes, it was.
It was.
It was.
Why? Why was it difficult?
Well, for a few reasons. One is that it was my idea with my friend Murray Shiskow. It was literally our idea from the beginning. We were teasing my father-in-law, who was alive then. It was his 50th birthday, and he was he was a former boxer, and he was a meat and potatoes guy. And it was the time of women's lib, and it was 1980 or whatever. And we were saying, Billy, come on, there's a woman inside you. You got to recognize that. He said, get out of here. There's a Shirley inside. In fact, that was and I called up Murray the next morning and I said, we've all thought the same thing. Every man, I'm sure, has thought, what would it be like to be a woman? Every woman has thought, what would it be like if I was really born a man? But what I'd never asked myself was, how would I be different? How would I have the same personality? And that began this thing that led to Tootsie, which was a word my mother used. And we did makeup tests. So they finally got me looking like a woman. It took months and months. And finally, we were looking at in a screening room, and the projectionist was silent. We were just looking at makeup. He didn't know what we were doing. He said, "Who's that actress?" And we knew, now I'm starting to look like a woman. This guy thinks I am. And I said to the makeup people, now that you've got me looking like a woman, if I were a woman, I'd want to be beautiful. Make me look beautiful. And they nodded and they said, that's it.
That's it. Maybe you're beautiful on the inside.
Yes.
Right.
That's it.
That's going to be
And
it.
that was the beginning of the character, because I realized that I would never have approached myself at a party. Said, hey, you want to go out?
It's just something tough to live with.
It's amazing. And then I began to understand how I would be different if I was a woman.
What I really wanted to know was, why was it difficult then? When you approached this.
We're 8 weeks away from shooting, and we don't have a director. Now we talk Sidney Pollack into doing it because he didn't want to. He had never done a comedy. He didn't feel comfortable. He felt very uncomfortable. He says, you're going to be in drag, and the audience is, here we are in the age of women's lib. We're going to get killed. And then Murray Shiskow said something which resonated. He says, just tell me what this movie is about. And Murray said, I think it's about a man who becomes a better man having been a woman. And Sidney, no dummy, his ears perked up, and he was brought in. Sidney, God rest his soul, was not a collaborator. He just wasn't. Once he came in, though I had started the project with Murray, though I was a co-producer, he wanted me to step aside and just act. And I said, I can't. So what people don't realize is that every day he brought in his scene, I brought in my version of it, and we would fight in the camper. Once we did find a compromise, no different than the fiscal cliff, except we were more successful. Once we went on set, it was a pleasure for both of us. Brilliant director, wonderful atmosphere in terms of acting, and never anything in front of the crew.
The two of you together in that, just in the Russian tea room scene,
yes.
Acting together.
Yeah, he got mad at me because I grabbed his balls during a take.
Well, you tend to do that, though. Come on.
There's
so many complaints.
Only if it's right for the scene. So many complaints, even from women.
They don't like their balls.
I says, he's sitting next to me, and I says, come on, put my arm around. I put my hand around it, and he jumped. It's in the movie. And there is a sign right in front of me that says, if you're 75 years old or older, you don't have to take your shoes off. I swear to God, that hit home. And the next thing I thought is, even terrorists at a certain point are no longer right for the part.